something we toss, we recycle at a drop-off site, or we throw it away?
We can just recycle, put it in the recycling bin in Union South.
Okay, that's a drop-off site in my business. Yes, that is correct. We are now doing this as well in the city. Just so you know, one of the reasons this is difficult to do, or that people are reluctant to do it, is that they've pretty much taken out mercury from these batteries. They, by and large, eliminated the big hazard that was associated with single-use batteries, so we don't feel like it's toxic. And it costs us $40 a ton to dispose of these in the Dane County landfill, which is a double-lined landfill, so it's about as secure as a hazardous waste landfill. On the other hand, to recycle it, it's 65 cents a pound. So that's why sometimes recycling coordinators are reluctant to do these, because they're expensive. So let's try something else. It's the holiday season, and we are sometimes gifted with wonderful things. And one of the things that we tend to get gifted with are tins of cookies or popcorn. So you have this tin that the cookies and the popcorn come in. Is that empty tin something that we recycle at the curb, drop off, or throw it away? What are we going to do with that?
At the curb?
At the curb, that's correct. Ding, 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 ding. We handle that just like a soup can. Okay? That can go in at the curb, along with the metal cover. All right. Of course, we don't see many of these anymore. I should have brought mine along just to show you what they look like. It's called a calculator. And they sit on your desk. I actually have one sitting in my living room right now trying to figure out how I'm going to deal with it. Well, I know how I'm going to deal with it, but I don't want to tell them. This is a calculator that dates back to 1976. So, I can't give it to the Historical Society, but do I take it to a drop-off? Do I put it in my recycling cart, or do I throw it away? What am I going to do with that calculator? Drop-off set? That is correct. We recycle those with all the other electronics. And this is the one I wish I would have brought. Things get lost. Now this is a common one. This is a question I get once a week. A prescription bottle. Most of the outside of that bottle is taken up with the label that has your name on it and tells you how often you're supposed to take it. And the lid. What are we going to do with that brown prescription bottle? Oh good, they're looking quizzical. I finally have one. Think about it.
We think take it to the curb.
You think take it to the curb as recycling or trash?
Recycle.
That's correct. We're recycling those now. We didn't used to. Aha! This is something that I recall from my days. It could be a frying pan. It could be a cooking pot. But what you have, the vessel itself is something we use when we cook. Remember cooking? But we've also all barely remembered cooking, and we have one of those pots, a frying pan, a pot, that the disaster has occurred. It has burned, or it is just so filthy that you don't want to clean it anymore. You can just maybe rinse it. What do you do with that disaster of a frying pan? Is that going to go into curbside recycling? Is that going to go in the trash? Or is that going to come to the drop-off site?
Trash?
Trash. Okay. I realize that is correct if you can't clean it. Okay? If it's just a little bit dirty, then you can put it in your recycling. I embellished my story and got away from my point. But we can recycle pots and pans at the curb now, which is something new. But if you can't clean something, you should throw it out. That's important to remember. Okay? Now, it's also very easy to clean things sometimes, like peanut butter containers. There are ways it can be done, but you should clean them out. Okay. Styrofoam packing peanuts. Those little fluffy, well, I should say packing peanuts because some are styrofoam and some are not. What do we do with those packing peanuts? You have no way of knowing by looking at it. Now, some of you might. Some of you people might be enough of a chemist to be able to tell the difference between a styrofoam packing peanut and a cornstarch packing peanut. If you have a packing peanut, what are you going to do with that?
Curb recycling?
No. That's trash. Now, you can check with your UPS store to see if they take them back, and they used to be pretty good about it, but most of them don't take them back anymore. Packing peanuts get thrown out primarily because very few of them are styrofoam anymore. Which leads us to the question, what do you do with a chunk of styrofoam from that new computer you just got?
Just curb recycling?
No. It's drop-off recycling. You have to bring those to our drop-off site because when it goes into our curbside system, it goes through a sorting center. And styrofoam, as we all know, is very light, and when it breaks up real easy, and the stuff would just fly through the air. It's really, our system is just not designed to handle it. And frankly, I was one of those people for 25 odd years said, we'll have a styrofoam recycling program over my dead body. But we have one now, and there's a long story which I'll skip, but we have one now, and it works pretty well, but it requires you to bring it into the drop-off site because it just isn't practical to handle it in the street. Okay. Now, packaging material. While we're on packaging material, we also have those pillows. Like I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon. You know, I'm almost like number 4 on their soon-to-get drone delivery list. And they use those, they're like air pillows. They don't use styrofoam packing peanuts, they're these plastic air pillows. What do we do with those?
Curbside recycling?
Curbside recycling with an asterisk. We take them at the curbside, just like we take plastic bags curbside, but you have to put those inside a plastic bag and tie that plastic bag shut. Again, because if you just put those in loose, they get wrapped around all the sorting equipment. So if you put it inside a plastic bag along with all your other plastic bags, tie that shut, we can grab that plastic bag at the beginning of the process and pull it out. So, you were right. I just always have to get my instructions in. All right. One of those little bitty bottles that you get eye drops in. Plastic bottle. What are you going to do with that?
Curbside recycling?
Curbside recycling. Yes and no. It's a trick question. You could put them in your curbside recycling, but one of the things that's likely to happen is it's likely to get screamed out and fall through. But I tell you to go ahead and err on the side of putting it in the recycling because it will go through. What do you do with the cap from that bottle? Or any plastic bottle? Take it off, throw it away, or put it in the curbside recycling. Or, yeah, those are your 2 choices. We want to drop off on those.
Curbside recycling?
Curbside recycling. So do you put it in loose, or do you leave it on the bottom?
Doesn't matter.
It does matter. Leave it on the bottom. Okay? Leave your caps on your plastic bottles now. Okay? Because we can recycle the caps, but they need to remain attached to the bottle. And that's because when they go to the recycling, to the first step in the manufacturing process, they get ground up and washed, and the caps will float to the top of the wash tank, and the PET, the other plastics, sink to the bottom. I'm pretty sure that's right. There's floaters and sinkers. And then if they stay attached to the bottle, they can move through with the bottle, and we can get them off, and they'll get recycled. but it has to stay on the bottle. If it comes off the bottle, it's too small and it falls through the screens with the trash. So remember that, leave them on. And you can tell this crowd, we're entertaining these people. They're laughing gloriously. Calculators, styrofoam. Okay. What do you have? Anybody got something you want to know what to do with? Yes?
Metal beer bottle.
Metal beer bottle caps. What do we do with those? We rejoice because we took them off as something we enjoyed empty.
So we think they can fall off as a trash, so pretty much trash it.
You put them in the trash. There is no, and they don't really, they don't want them either. Even if our screens were small enough for those to pass over, they're still not marketed along with the soda bottle caps. Now, the metal cap from your frozen juice concentrate, the metal cap from a pickle jar, those can go in, but take those off the jar. Plastic stays on, metal comes off. Yes?
What about a stapler that has plastic and metal?
A stapler that has plastic and metal. So this is probably, as I'm just picturing the stapler, it's probably about 60% metal, 70% metal by weight. It's got the plastic thing, but it's all stuck together in one piece. What do we do with the stapler?
Drop off?
Drop off. There's your answer. You'd come to the drop-off site with the scrap metal. Okay? We would take that there. We take a lot of different kinds of scrap metal at the drop-off site. For example, people, well, let's see, maybe somebody has one of these things. Yes, did you have something?
Yeah, I've got a really big sofa. It's part wood, part faux leather, and it's filled with this plastic filling, and it's coming out, so it has to go in the trash.
Okay, so we have this sofa. Is there anything we can do with it besides trashing? What do you guys think?
You can break it apart and separate.
Yeah. In theory, some of that stuff could be pulled out, but right now nobody does it. We recycle mattresses and box springs, and that company takes things apart. And they are interested in expanding into the stuffed furniture area, but they aren't permitted to do it yet. They're not sure the numbers are going to work out. So theoretically, yes. And if you want to do something right now, if there's metal coils in there, you can pull those out and bring them in. Yeah, exactly. So, yes?
What about paper with like a spiral notebook or staples in it?
Ah, paper with a spiral notebook or paper with staples in it. So we have two different things. And you could make it three, right? Because you've got some of the spirals are plastic. And then some, but you're thinking about the metal ones. Yeah.
So with staples, it's on the curb,
Right?
but then spiral notebook would be drop off.
Well, the staples aren't an issue. Okay, we can take care of staples in regular paper. But a spiral notebook, you need to remove the paper from the spiral. Okay? So it needs to get torn out in order to run it through the system. Okay? Yes, you were. Yeah.
Yeah, what about that really hard plastic packaging that's really hard to get into and it's like formed to the item that you bought?
It's what we call a thermoform plastic. Yeah, the thing that there's this big piece of plastic on there over your thumb drive because people steal thumb drives, so they put them in a big piece of plastic. Yeah, that thermoform plastic.
Just curbside?
Curbside is right. We can take that at the curb now. Now you can also take the little piece of paper or cardboard that's in there off and put that in too. But we can now take thermoform plastics at the curb. That's something that's new in the last year. Yes?
Broken light bulbs?
Broken light bulbs.
All the light bulbs.
We think drop off
Drop off, you can, well, if it's not broken, fluorescents can be taken back to the stores that sell them, but they don't want broken ones. If you've got a broken light bulb, that goes in the trash. If you have a broken fluorescent, make sure you kind of try to pick up the small pieces using something like tape as opposed to sweeping it so you don't get that dust up into you and end up with some mercury in your lungs. But it's best to put that in the trash. Yes? Cardboard pizza boxes. Everyday detritus.
It's just put it into trash.
Well, yes and no. You can tear, if part of it is clean, like a lot of times you'll get a clean top, you can tear the clean top off and put that in. But once you get cheese, grease, you know, the better the pizza, the less likely you are to be able to recycle the box. So you can, if it's clean, we can take it, but if the dirty part should go in the trash, although we'll have an answer for that later too. Yes?
First of all, what do you do with the dead rechargeable batteries? And secondly, shiny cardboard versus perfect?
Dead rechargeable batteries, number one.
Drop off?
Drop off. There will be places, there are other places that take those back, like Home Depot. Actually, the rechargeable battery industry has done a good job of trying to take responsibility for their stuff. And you can set up a free recycling program and just mail stuff back to them. They do a good job. So that would be drop off. Now, the shiny cardboard, so it's like the kind you get your printer in. Or cereal boxes. We got two different things here. You got your shiny cardboard boxes, they're heavy printing, and then cereal boxes.
Curbside.
Curbside for both. Yeah, those are fine. Yes? Magazines and catalogs.
Curbside?
Curbside. We love magazines and catalogs. We get paid decent money for them too. They go with the newspapers. Yes?
What about a shower curtain liner?
A shower curtain liner. It's plastic. It's film. It's just like a plastic bag. Or is it?
Curbside?
No. That's trash. Okay. Shower curtain liner is trash. Yes? A Christmas tree. You mean like a real Christmas tree or a phony Christmas tree? Both. Okay, let's start with the phony Christmas tree. Or as we say, a faux holiday tree. Or at Christmas.
So for the holiday,
Drop off with the plastic? No. The phony ones would go in the trash. Unless you have one of those real old retro aluminum ones. Then you can bring that to the drop-off site. They're still out there. I've seen them. Now, a real Christmas tree. What do you do with a real Christmas tree?
Trash?
Trash. No. It's a separate collection. See, that's the trick part. We do pick it up at the curb. We start the first Monday in January. Just put it out at the curb, and we'll pick it up and shred it up just like we do parts of your trees. Yes?
What about those paper containers with milk or like oranges that have plastic out?
Okay, you've got a milk carton, or the other thing that's like that is a juice box or an aseptic box that you get. You can get soup in them, or juice boxes. So they're the same thing. Milk cartons, juice boxes, juice cartons. They got whack. Go ahead.
it's just trash.
You think it's trash? Not quite. We take those at the curb. They go in your curbside recycling. You don't have to take the plastic off. Okay? And the reason for that is counterintuitive. There's plastic, there's paper, there's a coating on the outside, there's even little pieces of aluminum. But because there's so much fiber in that paper that's there, it's very valuable to the recyclers because of all the fiber content. So they figured out a way to work with it, and we take that at the curb. We recycle about 1,000 pounds of that a month.
But what's the difference between pizza boxes and those milk?
Fiber content. Yeah, and then it's also, you know, the milk, the contamination on the pizza box is organic. You know, it's grease and cheese and food, and that causes much bigger problems. That can cause bales of stuff to start molding and rotting. Whereas this stuff, if you just give it a quick rinse, it's okay. So the contamination there, though, is more the plastic and the little piece, the little aluminum strip. It's inorganic, so it doesn't cause problems down the line. Okay, one more. Yes.
Like cork for like wine bottles and stuff?
Ah, cork for wine bottles. So we know what people are working on here, beer and wine.
Curb.
Curb, no. This is a trick one. It would be trash at the curb, but if you go to our website, there is a place where you can mail your wine corks back for recycling. They will be happy to recycle them, but you have to mail them in. So, that's our, oh, no, I said, okay. Last one.
There are synthetic ones though, right?
There are synthetic ones, but we don't muddy the waters, mail them all back. No, go check it out. There's a link on my website, cityofmadison.com/streets. There's a whole column of how to recycle and all these different weird things, and wine corks are over there. And you can see it's a link to the wine cork recycling page, and they'll tell you. To be honest, I haven't kept up on all the latest of wine cork recycling technology. So, how about a nice thank you for our panel? And I am now going to attempt to give you a quick update, a quick look at our plans to recycle what we're calling source-separated organics. Okay? And, hey, all right. So, Madison, we're closer to about 245,000 people now. 2010, our diversion rate was 66%. 2011, it was 70%. And 2012, it was 69%. A little bit of movement up and down depending on what comes in. We do have the oldest curbside recycling program in the country. We started recycling back about the year most of your parents were born, 1968, or the year I graduated from high school. We started recycling newspapers at the curb, and we were the first ones to have a regularly established curbside recycling collection. Now, the next step for us is source-separated organics. It represents the biggest portion of material currently going to the landfill, about 30%. Now, it's organic material. It decomposes, so we can make compost. We can work on reducing greenhouse gas emissions by doing this. Methane, as you probably have heard, is about 23 times worse than carbon dioxide as a source of greenhouse gas pollution. And there's a lot of debate as to just how much landfill capture systems get. The EPA, I think, is saying about 70%, 75%, John? I'm guessing 50%. That's my scientific guesstimate. But we don't really know because nobody's put a big bubble over a landfill to measure what's coming off after we're capturing the gas. Landfill gas capture is a great thing. You've got a lemon and you make lemonade. It's a source that can be used for renewable energy. But you're still better, as all these things are, if you can reduce it, to eliminate it. But we can use this then as a renewable energy source, these source-separated organics in an anaerobic digestion system. And that's our plan. When we say SSO, what are we talking about? We're talking about food waste. And not just what you could compost in your backyard. We're talking about all food waste. Meats, fish, veggies, bones, sauces, gravies, baked goods, dairy products, lots of organic material. Basically, if you've put it on your plate or you've been cooking with whatever it is, we can take that. Okay, we can also take all the outdated stuff from grocery stores. If they made some kind of mistake in the canning process for green beans, they put in sugar instead of salt. We can take all those cans of beans. We can take that kind of stuff and we can put it into a digester. Another big chunk of this is contaminated paper. Paper towels, paper plates, paper napkins, paper cups. Think about it for a second. How much of this stuff, just taking these first 2 lines here, wrappers, how much of the stuff at a fast food restaurant could go into a digester and not go into the trash? An awful lot of stuff. Those paper tray liners. All that stuff can be food for a digester. Pizza boxes. The greasier, the better for a digester. Okay? We want them soaked with that stuff. Wax cardboard boxes. This is something you see at grocery stores. They can't be recycled, but it's when they ship something nice like broccoli. The cardboard boxes are lined, they can't go with recycling with the regular cardboard boxes. We can take those in a digester. Pet waste. Dog and puppy offal. Okay? Now, I forgot to edit this. We were taking disposable diapers, but we can't do that. Now, we've run into regulations, on the back end of the process. And so diapers are out. But our original goal basically was to take everything that was stinky and get it out of the system and put it in there. That's why we were willing to take disposable diapers, even though they have a very small percentage of good fuel for a digester. But, we're not going to do that, so pretend you did not see that. Okay. So this is a cart from San Francisco outside a sandwich shop. Give you some idea of what's going in there. The stale bread, the wrappers, all that stuff is in there. This is a more organized food chart picture. I couldn't find the one I have with rotting fish carcasses and stuff. It's really nice. Moldy broccoli and stuff, but I couldn't grab that this morning. But baked goods are especially potent in a digester. Coffee grounds, coffee filters, tea bags, all that stuff we can take. And this, you don't see it very well here. This is from San Francisco. This is just when it looks all nice and neat in a picture like this and sitting in the cart. But then when you get it down to the end, when you get it down to the transfer station coming out of the back of the truck, it is slime. The only things that are really interested in this, you can see some seagulls back here because in San Francisco the drop-off site is down by the wharf, and raccoons, rats, pigeons, and people in my business converting this stuff into energy. My wife says, "Can't you smell the compost bin, the compost bucket in the kitchen?" And I go, "Diane, where do I work?" "No, I can't tell that." Okay, so smarty pants, what are you gonna do with this? Well, we could windrow compost it, but it doesn't work too well up here in the north. Your windrow piles can get kind of cold. You have nitrous oxide emissions from a well-run compost pile, and those are a concern depending on where you are. And then when you have, it's inevitable when you're putting lots of food waste in there that you're going to have pockets that are going to go anaerobic, and that means you're going to have methane emissions coming from your windrow compost system. And there's still, you have to make a significant investment in a windrow system that's going to compost food waste. You've got to have leachate collection systems, and you have to look at covering systems and other things. So you're already made, it's not as simple as composting yard waste. Okay? You have to make a bigger investment. But in exchange for that, you're getting the same thing you get from your yard waste when you're done as compost, and that's what you have. So we would mix it with yard waste, but we still have trouble. These covered windrow systems get expensive. That's an issue. Now, you could do it with sewage treatment plants. We had some discussions with the Madison Metropolitan Sewage District. The problem was they built their new digesters under the old leadership of the organization. And the old leadership of the organization, when I approached them 5 years ago, basically said, "Look, you take care of your crap and we'll take care of ours. This is what we do. We do what the people flush, and we're not interested in getting into other stuff." Now, it can be done. In California, they do it. There's a sewage treatment plant where they have excess capacity. The problem, the challenge now, to take the system they have, our source separated organics would be about 30% solids, with your food waste and the paper and everything else. And at the Madison Metropolitan Sewage District, the material they're loading into their digester is only 6% solids. So there's going to be an awful lot of mixing, an awful lot of water involved in trying to make it work together. So it doesn't look like we're going to be able to do anything directly, but we're still pursuing other avenues. But the best solution, we believe, is anaerobic digestion. Building a standalone digester to deal with the source-separated organics. Whoops, covered window. I thought I took that out. Okay, so I don't know how much you know about the science of anaerobic digestion. I'm not going to get into it too deeply. This is one type of system. There are systems that use tanks and water. You can mix in manure. You could mix in sewage sludge if you wanted to do that. There's lots of different things you could put into these wet systems. You can also build a dry fermentation system, which is basically a glorified garage. There are two different basic systems that we're looking at. And I'll skip most of the science because I think there's enough people in here that know science that would could quickly spot the gaps in my knowledge. I'm a history major. But basically what we're going to do is use bacteria to eat the trash, convert that trash, take it down, and while that bacteria goes to work, they're generating methane gas. And you're going to capture that methane gas, and that methane gas is then going to be filtered to remove moisture and some sulfur from it. And then you can use that gas in a combined heat and power unit to generate electricity to put onto the grid, or in our case, our plan is to generate electricity to use for the 2 city buildings that are going to be built on the same plot as the digester. And then we would use the waste heat from those generators to heat and cool those buildings, as well as provide some heat for the digester in the wintertime. And then the remaining biogas, the remaining methane, we would convert into compressed natural gas and substitute that for diesel in our collection vehicles. So there's a lot of advantages to this. By providing power to our own facility, we are replacing power we're purchasing on the retail grid. So it's worth more than if we were to just generate electricity and put it into the grid. And by converting most of it to compressed natural gas and substituting it for diesel fuel, we're cutting our costs down to about $1 a gallon for a diesel fuel equivalent. So we're saving a considerable amount per gallon. And we are also providing ourselves with some predictability. We'll be able to budget in advance as to what our fuel costs are going to be. And we will supplement the gas we generate from our digester with gas that we purchase from MG&E so that we can power as many vehicles as we can. And again, that gives us some predictability because we can enter into 3 or 5 year supply agreements with Madison Gas and Electric, which is something you can't do for diesel fuel. We're lucky if we get a 9 or 12-month contract on diesel fuel. And you have the further benefits of it's better from an emission standpoint, not only on the greenhouse gas side, but on the particle side as well, because diesel fuel throws a lot of stuff into the air. So, why a digester again? I think pretty much touched on this. And then you have a digestate, a solid material that we would mix with our leaves and further compost it. We can make custom blends. When you go out to San Francisco, they make several different custom compost blends, even to the point of making blends specifically for a farm. A given vineyard has certain characteristics, and they need their compost to have other characteristics to match that. There's the potential to do that. We could just do it in bulk without doing custom blending. It all depends on which is going to, if we make more money with custom blends and it covers our costs, we'll probably do that. And we could also look at bagging it for the retail market. That's another option we have. But seed compost is good stuff, tastes great. We have a pilot project right now, 550 households, 5 restaurants, the American Family Office Complex. We're doing weekly collection, lots of surveys and studies. In July, we have funding to expand the program to another 1,600 households. We will be adding more restaurants and a grocery store, and we're going to start working on some multifamily units. So we will be doing some work in our Thursday collection district, which is basically the downtown Isthmus area. I don't know where it's going to be yet, but we will be into that neighborhood doing some work with multifamily, as well as trying to solicit some more restaurants on the State Street area. So we're really excited about this. Our timeline is that we would have the digester constructed and ready to go in 2016, and phase in the curbside collection in 2017. There it is, we talked about that, and that's me. If you want to get in touch with me, and if you have some ideas, those of you who are here in school are looking for some ideas that might work for a project that you could try and get credit for. I can't offer to pay anybody anything, but I can certainly work on projects you might be able to convert into something for credit, or if not, direct, to help you with papers that might work for you. So that's it. Do I have time for questions, or? Okay, we're done. Okay, thank you very much.